From the Dean Dome in Chapel Hill, this is TarHeelIllustrated.com. I'm staff writer Jacob Turner, and alongside me is THI publisher Andrew Jones. And Andrew, about an hour ago, we saw Carolina beat Notre Dame in a legit ACC season opener, 76-65. And I think the first thing we have to talk about, we can't go any further without talking about Cole Anthony's performance tonight. I mean, the way he lit this building up, the way he came in here, some of the shots he was hitting, some of the things he was doing, to finish with 34 points and 10 rebounds in his collegiate debut, or 11 rebounds, excuse me, in his collegiate debut. I mean, that's big time from Cole Anthony.
We're standing on the court right now, and this court is, Cole Anthony owned this court tonight.
Yes, he did.
This was his. He could carve it up, put it in his back pocket, take it home, put it on his wall, because he owned this court tonight. Absolutely owned it. What he did tonight is I'm sure it's the talk of the nation in sports, certainly in college basketball, maybe the nation in sports. We're anchored in here working. We will be for a couple more hours. So we don't really know how the nation's treating this sports center and the other entities out there. But I would think it's very similar to the way Zion was treated in his debut last year for Duke. The difference here is Cole has the keys. Zion didn't have the keys. No. Guys had to get him the ball, and he had to facilitate in the ways that he did things. Cole literally had the show. This was his show, and everybody else was along for the ride tonight, especially after he took off those goggles. What's your prescription? And he wore, because I asked him, and I said, he said, well, I don't see very well.
Yeah.
So their prescription, and I was wearing them, and I wear them in practice sometimes, he said, but you know what? He took them off, and he lit the place up. This building tonight wanted him to do that.
Yeah,
you could tell early on, every time he got the ball, people wanted to see their version of Zion. Carolina has kind of missed out on these highfalutin, one-and-done kids for a while because of the cloud and everything else. They got theirs now. This place has been waiting for that for a long time. They got it, and Jacob, they absolutely fell in love with this kid tonight. And as a journalist, this is my 24th season opener covering college basketball. I haven't seen an opener like this. I haven't seen many performances like this, and I've covered about 2,000 college basketball games in my life. This was special. Now, don't expect him to do this every time he steps on the floor, but the fact that he carried this team to a win in a game that if he wasn't great, they may well have lost, says an awful lot, because now you know they have that chip to build on. The other guys got to kind of speed up and come along for the ride. This team has potential to do some special things if that happens.
Yeah, Cole Anthony was sensational tonight. We can't say that enough. I thought another guy that was really good tonight was Garrison Brooks. I thought he did a really good job on John Mooney, Notre Dame guy. He was a third-team All-ACC last year. Coming back, a lot of expectations for what he can do with Notre Dame this season. And I mean, Garrison Brooks had a great defensive game. Didn't really fill up the stat sheet too much on the offensive side of the ball. He did some nice things. I mean, he produced, got some rebounds, scored some points. But I think defensively, Garrison Brooks was probably the most impressive defender, at least for me tonight.
Well, Garrison was their best defender last year.
Yep.
And I tweeted out at the beginning of the game that the matchup of tonight was Garrison defending Mooney. Mooney's really good. He's going to play in the NBA, maybe for a while. He can do a lot of things around the court. You just don't have to defend him on the block. You got to defend him when he goes away, when he screens. They run a lot of ISO stuff to get him open. And he just didn't get the ball in positions to do much with it. And when he did, he didn't do a whole lot. I asked Roy about Garrison's performance on Mooney after the game, and Roy said one of the things Garrison did a really good job was whenever Mooney went low and was going to come up, Garrison didn't leave his feet. He held his ground. He owned that spot on the floor, and that's why he defended a guy who will probably end up first-team All-ACC this year. So Cole Anthony going off doing what he was doing, and Garrison's defense on Mooney, those are reasons one, and reasons two why the Tar Heels picked up a win tonight.
I think maybe another reason, maybe reason number three, was Andrew Platek's play. I thought Andrew Platek played really well. Finished with 8 points. I think he was the third leading scorer for Carolina tonight. Hit a big three late in the second half, too, that really sparked a run. When he hit that three, AJ, I was sitting courtside taking photos, and when he hit that three, you could just kind of see a smirk on his face. You could kind of, at least for me, and I was thinking in my head, Andrew Platek has worked so hard to get to this position. All his teammates have said that. For him to even be on the court contributing like he has been, and like he did tonight against Notre Dame is huge for him, is going to be huge for his confidence. But I think Andrew Platek maybe surprised some people tonight.
But he didn't surprise himself.
No, not at all.
And that's the smirk. The smirk was a byproduct of what he envisioned happening when he chose to come here. I've talked to him a lot the last 2 years. I had we talked about this the other night in the video after the exhibition game. I had a long conversation with him in Kansas City the day before they lost to Auburn, and it was about his sophomore year. He thought going into his sophomore year that he would play more than he did as a freshman. He played in every game but one as a freshman, and he was usually in the first half, so he was part of Roy's rotation. At the end of the rotation, but he was part of it. And he had a couple, solid games. He was really big in a road win at Syracuse his freshman year. However, last year he just never found a groove. There were a lot of games he didn't play at all. He played fewer minutes. He was very frustrated when I had that conversation with him. But he looked at Brandon Robinson and said, Brandon had a similar first 2 years. And yet Brandon recognized what kind of player he was and knew what he had to do to get on the floor. And as a junior, Brandon played about 14 minutes a game in ACC play once they hit about mid-January and on. And he really helped the team. Andrew said, that's the model. I'm going to follow what Brandon did. I'm going to go about business the way Brandon did. You know what? He played 24 minutes tonight.
Yeah.
He was better tonight than Brandon was at any time last year. I know he had some struggles on defense, but when a guy's shooting like that, a lot of dudes are going to look like they're struggling on defense. Roy Williams is pretty confident in the kind of defensive player Andrew is. What we saw tonight was the full offensive game. He had a beautiful pass right about where we're standing right now, kind of over his shoulder. I think it was to Keeling for a three.
I think you're right. Yeah,
I think it was Keeling's only three. And Andrew was just losing himself in the game. And this is really important because they play 7 guys right now. Until B-Rob comes back, that's all they got.
Yeah.
So you need guys like Andrew Platek to lose himself in the game, to have a grin because he's playing well, because that's going to fuel more confidence. And if the other 6, really I'm going to say the other 5 because Garrison knows who he is and he's confident. If the other 5, and I think confidence is a question mark with them because they're all feeling out lots of new stuff right now that they haven't done before, either in college or in this program. And when they kind of pick their games up and they're at that level of confidence and they're following Cole along for the ride, like I alluded to a few minutes ago, this team has the potential to win an awful lot of basketball games because they can beat you in a lot of different spots, and they have that alpha dog go-to, hand the keys, I'm going to carry on my back guy who is going to be the number 1 or 2 pick in the draft next year.
Yeah, really, really positive and really, I guess, a really productive performance from Carolina tonight to pick up that season opening win, 76-65 over Notre Dame in the Smith Center. I've been Jacob Turner. He's Andrew Jones. Make sure to like and subscribe to our YouTube channel, Tar Heel Illustrated. Check us out on tarheelillustrated.com. And a couple days time we'll be down in Wilmington for UNC's next matchup with the Seahawks. It's going to be a fun one. Andrew's old stomping grounds too, so I'm sure he'll have it'll be a great time for him being back down there.
They're not going to be thrilled to have me back.
Exactly. Thanks for watching, guys. We'll see you next time.